I'm live. Okay, that's a little better. So I went to the thrift store today, and I went to the thrift store today this morning. This is a excuse me. Oh man, hold on one second. From now on, this is just going to be a live stream of me drinking water. How about that? Now that would be interesting. I don't know why I'm looking at the light instead of the camera. So today I went to a thrift store that I hadn't been to in a few, months, maybe even since last year, at the end of last year, possibly. Probably. It's probable. And this is one that's 10 minutes or so. Well, more like 15 minutes from where I live. It's not far, but it's a little bit further away than a lot of the other ones. Oh, hi, Barb. How you doing? It looks like you're the only one here. Hopefully some more people will join, but thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I went to this thrift store that has a decent amount of books. Like most thrift stores, it's got tons of clothes, but it's a smaller thrift store in general, and the prices for the books are pretty good. The paperbacks are 50 cents and the hardbacks are $1, and the CDs are $1. So it's kind of hard to beat that in terms of thrift stores, unless all the books were 50 cents. I may have seen that before, but usually that's about as low as you'll see. So I went there today, and let's see, how many items did let me do the math. I found CDs, hardcover, and some paperbacks. So 9 plus 7 plus 17. So 33 in all. I found 33 books and CDs. So 7 CDs, 9 hardcovers, and 17 paperbacks. Here's all of the hardcovers and the CDs, because I know some people who watch this in the future won't believe me, because there's people that doubt what people say on YouTube, which I understand. So I spent, let's see, $26.40, basically $24.50 on all the items, and it's going to be a nice, so $24, because a lot of them were most of them were paperbacks. Well, I guess if you combine the 16, almost even to spending $1 per item, but nonetheless, it was $26 spent. And I tallied it all up. Generally speaking, that these numbers could be a little lower, could be a little higher. Depends on what I eventually when I eventually list them and ship them in, and what prices that I send them in at. But the profit. So this is profit after cost of goods, right? What I spent on the books, as well as inbound shipping. Again, the inbound shipping is fluctuates depending upon how many splits I get and how many items I'm sending in and how heavy they are. Are they books or CDs, etc. So it could be a little more, it could be a little less, but that's included as well. And of course, all the FBA fees. So, sorry, my phone is going. Oh, I sold something on eBay. So for the CDs, one of the CDs I found, the 6 of the CDs were profitable, but lower profit. And then I found one that was a really nice find. It was more of a rare CD. Doesn't sell that often, but sells pretty high for close to $40, in the like 35, 40 range. And there's not, I think there's only 4 or 5 offers up there. So that was a nice one. And that, hello, Janessa. Glad you could join us. That was a nice one. And so that bumped the profit up. So $52 is the profit for the 7 CDs, with a big boost from that one. And that'll probably be a little bit more of a long tail, but that's okay. And the 9 hardcovers, which were $1 each, the profit's $38. And then the 17 paperbacks, the profit's $81 and change. So the total was about $172 off of $26 spent. So that's not too bad for, let's see, let's see, what time did I get there? I probably was there maybe like at most an hour and a half. And again, I hadn't been there in a long time. So the less you go to one individual thrift store, the more likely that there's going to be a lot of new books, different books, that they will have sold a lot of the older ones or gotten rid of them because they weren't selling, that sort of thing. Depends on the thrift store. Some of them, they sell a lot of books, and so they go through them pretty quick, and so they're always refilling the bookshelves. Other thrift stores don't sell as many books, and they're not as good about keeping track of what's selling and what's not. So it kind of depends. You kind of have to figure that out as you go. But this one seems to be pretty good about having some new stuff and rotating it in. So what I used to do when I would go to thrift stores on a regular basis is I would usually want to wait I mean, ideally I would go every 3 to 4 weeks to one. But the reason I was able to do that is because there's a good amount of thrift stores in my area. Let's see, there's one that I'm counting the ones that I can actually go and find books and CDs. There's also Goodwills and whatnot that aren't necessarily very good for that. But let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's probably a few others. There's probably around 10 or so that I can rotate through without going too far from my house. At most, maybe 10 to 15 minutes away. Maybe 15 or a little. Well, there's one that's a little further out, more like 20, 25 minutes, that has a lot of books that I haven't been to in a while either, which I might go to in the next few weeks just because I'm going kind of doing the rounds after taking a lot of time off from doing the thrift stores because of selling a lot of CDs through the bulk buying process through Gaylords. But my point to this was that one of the reasons that I'm finding a lot of books, and this isn't entirely true, but it's possibly because I haven't been to the thrift stores in a while. So there's one in particular that I can go to every couple weeks, and they usually have more books because when I'm there, whatever day, well, usually I'm there 2 days out of the week. There would be two days that I would go there, usually on a Tuesday or a Friday, and those days seem to have a lot. Even though I'm sure they're every day they're doing this, but they're always bringing out new books, so it's pretty easy to go there every 2 or 3 weeks and find new books and walk out with some profitable ones. But this has been an experiment. If you've been watching the videos I've been making over the past couple of weeks, kind of an experiment I've been doing just to see in 2018 if it's still profitable to specifically or mostly resell books from thrift stores. And so far it's been going well. This was my second, what do you call it? I sent a FBA shipment in last week, and this is my second thrift store visit since the end of last week. And I went to another one, and I got a box of probably, I don't know, 40 or so books. And those were even cheaper. A lot of them were 35 cents and 55 cents. So those two combined, I'll probably have about 70, 75 books out of that, maybe a little more books and a few, CDs from the one today. So I don't know what the total profit is on the other thrift store, but it's going to be good because I didn't spend even as much money. I think I spent like $16 on all of the books that I got at the other thrift store, whereas today I spent $26. So that's $36, $42. With easily, I'll easily get over $100, maybe probably close to what I got today from that other thrift store. So that's probably over $300 in profit off of about $40+ spent between the two thrift stores. So yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to see for myself if this is still viable in 2018, if there's enough out there. And there seems to be enough to steadily send in shipments. But I also kind of wanted to show for newer people, and even for people like myself that have been around a while that are maybe getting into bulk or doing merchant fulfilled and getting away from FBA, that you can still make money off of books and CDs using the FBA program, or ones that you find in thrift stores. And this definitely is going to apply to book sales, or rather to yard sales or garage sales and estate sales, because it's going to be the same deal. There's even, and I don't find competition at the thrift stores, but there's really going to be very little competition at those sales as well. So yeah, so basically the video is probably going to be pretty short today, but I just wanted to share some of the some of the finds or how I did today. The one that I found that was worth some money is this one, Phil Driscoll. I don't know if it's jazz. I exalt thee. So this one was, $1, but that one's going for good money on Amazon, whether it's merchant fulfilled or FBA. And I found a book that's like a textbook. Not really text. Well, yeah, I guess it is a textbook technically, but it's a paperback, and that's going to probably go for at least at minimum $35 to $40, maybe more, once I list it and see and look again at Keepa to see what if I can maybe get more for it. Maybe I can get closer to 50. I don't know. We'll see. But that's, that was another nice find, because I don't always find those kind of books at thrift stores. I find more the quicker selling, lower profit ones where you can make anywhere between, $2 to $5 or $6 in profit. But those are the ones that I sell a lot of, because I'm getting them for pretty cheap. If I get a paperback for 50 cents, but I can make $3 in profit, that's pretty nice, especially if I can sell it quickly, and I can send in a lot of those. And it's the same thing with CDs. CDs are even smaller and way less, so there's more profit off of those, off of a $10 CD than a $10 book in general. So yeah, so I think that's basically the gist of the video. There's 5 of you watching. I appreciate it. If you guys have questions or comments, definitely let me know in the chat. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of, like I was saying, a smaller thrift store, and there's a good amount of books, but not a ton. But for me to be able to find that many I've been kind of pleasantly surprised by how many books I've found and CDs. And I did not finish going through all of the CDs they had. I'm sure I would have found more, but I was, at that point, it was, I think, 12:30, and I was pretty hungry and tired and whatnot, so I wasn't able to finish it. But I went through about half of the CDs, so there was probably find another few. Who knows if I would have found a really valuable one like that other one, but you never know. And trust me, many times, regardless of how hungry I am or tired, I've finished scanning all the books or all the CDs. That's something that you frequently have to do, depending on your schedule or when you start. Because for me, I'm usually doing it like in the mid to late morning, and then it's gonna, I go into lunchtime, and sometimes I'm scanning until 1 o'clock, and I don't eat lunch till 1:30, and that's just kind of how it is. So it depends on your schedule and what you're doing, and kind of how that's going for you. So yeah, I probably have a couple more thrift stores that I haven't been to yet that I used to go to either frequently or semi-frequently. There's at least 2 that I can think of right now. There might be a few others. Oh, there's another one, so that's 3. These are usually the smaller thrift stores, the mom and pop, or the church one or whatever, the religious one, the Goodwills, and there's not too many Salvation Armies around here, but there's mostly Goodwills. Those are the ones that I don't have much luck with. They usually sell online, especially Goodwill. So I tend to do better with CDs at Goodwill than I do with books. I have found some books at certain Goodwills, but overall, it's not really worth it. I stick to the smaller thrift stores, the ones that aren't chains, the ones that you'll find a lot of volunteers there, really inexpensive stuff, and those are the ones that I prefer in general. So yeah. So I've been pleasantly surprised for sure. Let's see. Some of the books I found. That one. The other thing is, when I see these books on the shelf, this is the story of a happy marriage. Most of them were nonfiction. I think there's a few fiction in here. I went through the fiction section because it was pretty big compared to the other sections, and the ones that stood out to me were the ones that I looked up. There's this one, California, a history. This is a novel. This, oh boy, Sunni. I don't know how to pronounce that. S-U-N-N-E, in Splendor. Not too many fiction books that I found. This one, Runalore. This is a novel, Slammed, but I believe this is another novel. A gripping serial killer thriller. So, yeah. This one I've seen before. I think I've sold it before, called Nudge. I found 2 copies, and that one is probably like close to $3 in profit. It's the rank is really, really low. It was either this one or another one where the rank was under 1,000, and not just the current rank, but the rolling 3-month rank as well. So I like to find the faster selling books. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to find only books that are going for over $20, but that's just not realistic, especially if you're doing thrift stores, garage sales, estate sales, and whatnot. I mean, in order for that to happen, you kind of have to find some sort of. It could be a thrift store. It could be. It could be certain estate sales or companies that put on estate sales. I mean, certain neighborhoods maybe, but in general, it's going to be difficult to consistently find those at a thrift store. Definitely book sales, library book sales can be a great place to find valuable books, whether they're school books or niche type of nonfiction books. Those are places where you can find them. But to consistently find books that are going for over $20, that you can get cheap for $1 or less, is probably going to be more difficult unless you are targeting like professors or going after students who are trying to get rid of load off their books after the semester's done. Maybe you have, I don't know, some other source that you get in bulk or consistently. Otherwise, you're going to have to send in these lower profit, faster books, because you're probably not going to find enough. That's just kind of the reality. Brenda says, "Oh no, those are not." No. Those are my wife's purses and shoes. Definitely not something that I sell or know much about other than from her. My wife is going to be selling a bunch of her stuff on eBay that she no longer, I don't know, never used or whatever. She's got a bunch of handbags or purses that she wants to sell and some clothes. But no, that's not something that I sell. The only thing I sell on Amazon are books, CDs, sometimes a few audiobooks, and sometimes some video games. And in the past, I sent in VHS tapes, probably several hundred. I sold at least 130 or 140 or so VHS tapes. I sent in probably over 100 vinyl records. This was not last year, but the year before, and I did really well with those in the fourth quarter of, I believe, 2016. And I still enjoy vinyl in terms of the idea of selling it, but they take a lot of time to process compared to CDs, compared to books. Books are the fastest because there's nothing you have to check. I mean, you have to check to see if there's torn pages, messed up spines, if people, wrote all over the text so people can't read it, to see if there's a bunch of, full dog-eared pages, that type of thing. But vinyl, I mean, you check the vinyl, the actual record, to see if it's got scratches or anything. A lot of times they don't. You don't have to test them, but if they do, it's probably best to test them. Then you got to send them in a like a bag, a special bag that they fit in with a suffocation label for Amazon. It's not that big of a deal, but the good thing about it is, in general, a lot of the vinyl can sell for really good money. And I was able to sell, I don't know, over 100 or so. It wasn't a ton that I sent in, but I sold through most of them for that year. But most of all, it's just the books and CDs and a few other things for Amazon. In terms of eBay, I mostly have CDs up on eBay for sale. Individual CDs, DVDs. I've sold a lot of DVDs on there. And then I've got some various audiobooks. I've got some video games. I've got some software. And then I've got even probably 20 or so books. I also do lots on eBay. So right now I have a amount of CD lots based upon genre. If they're not based upon genre, I'll do mixed genre and just sell like 80 or 90 of them. And mostly that's not to make a bunch of money off of. That's just to get rid of them, so get them to somebody that actually is going to use them, and then I get them out of my life. But the ones that are based on genre, they can sell pretty well. Right now I have some jazz ones up. I've got alternative rock and a bunch of different classicals, another one that can do well. So the more you know about the music, the better, that you can make it more niche. Like, I don't know that much about classical, so I just put all classical together. I'm sure there's different, you can break it down by, whether it's Beethoven or whatever, or I don't know, whatever different types of classical music there are. If you know a lot about music or certain types of music, then you can probably do really well with that. But yeah, so if you guys have questions or comments, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I'm probably going to end the video about 22 minutes in. I just wanted to make a short one, but I did want to mention the reason I say that a lot, that I don't know how long, or this video might be short, is because my wife's picking up my kids or picking up our kids, and I don't know when they're showing up. So they could show up any second, any minute, and then I got to deal with the kids and whatnot. So, but nonetheless, so today's Tuesday. So tomorrow, the family and I are going to take a trip. We live in Southern California. We're going to go up to Northern California, all four of us, and we're going to stay with some friends and hang out and that type of thing. So I usually do a daily vlog. At least I've been doing it. This is my second or third week. Third week now. Excuse me. And from Wednesday to Friday, I may or may not post videos. If I don't, it's not because I'm neglecting you guys. It's because driving up north and then hanging out and doing our thing. And there might be a random video or two that has little to do with reselling, just to kind of say hello and just for fun. So that might happen, but it might not. And there might not be a video until next Monday, which would be the 30th, the end of July. So just a heads up for whoever watches this and wonders where I've went. If I've disappeared again, I haven't. I'll be back consistently next week. And let's see. So it's the end of July, and oh, they might be showing up. If you already know, maybe you do or do not know, this is a great time to send in a lot of books, especially books related to school, because there's going to be a ton of books sold in August and September. The best weeks, the last 2 weeks of August and the first week of September, it'll start to pick up once August hits. There's already people buying books for going for back to school. If you've already sent them in, you can see that. I know I'm selling some, and I'm going to send in a good amount here, and I'll get some more together probably next week to send in. And it's just a great time to build up your inventory and sell a lot of books. Will you be able to sell a lot of books in November, December, absolutely. A lot of people buy books in the holidays, and then January will hit again, and it'll be another great opportunity to sell books for people heading back to school again. So from here until about February is the best time of year to sell books. You can sell books all year round, but it's definitely, if you're focused on, if you're diversified with books, you're good all year. But if you're focused on books that are more geared towards textbooks or school books, school-related books, then this is going to be the best time of the year right now, and then the beginning of the year. But keep that in mind as you're out there. You're going to want to get those in probably at the latest by like mid to late August. Like they want to be live on the Amazon website so that you can sell basically by about a week or 10 days into September. The back to school books, the books that have to do with going back to school are going to drop significantly because people are going to be in class. So doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep sending them in for January, but just make sure that you're trying to send in as many as you can. When it comes to CDs, people buy them all year. They buy a lot of them during the Christmas time or holidays, but I sell CDs. I've been selling a lot of CDs this summer. And I feel that diversification is important. So if you can't sell CDs because you're gated, then you want to diversify within books. You want to send in all different types of books. Of course, faster selling profitable books, as in selling them within 6 months or less, but all different types of books, a little bit of fiction, all different types of nonfiction, not just school related. It can be all different types of stuff, things that people will buy, maybe things that are popular titles right now that are on the, hot sellers list or whatever. Older books even that are more rare, that might take a little bit longer to sell, but sell for good money. You want to just cover as many genres as possible so that you can sell them year round. You don't have to be, you don't have to worry about, oh, I only really can sell a lot of books when everyone goes back to school twice a year. Make sure that you diversify, because that's really important, so that you can still make money in the summer. You can still make money in February, in March, in April, in October, some of the slower months. But if you send in a lot of books that cover a lot of different topics, a lot of different genres, you should be able to continue to have good sales. And that's definitely what I found out. And that's why I diversified a lot into CDs. Is having CDs and books means that I'm going to be selling every month, every day of the year. I don't have a huge inventory, but I have a good sell-through rate, so I get consistent sales. And I'm continuing to send in a shipment at least every 10 days to 2 weeks. Taking this trip will not enable me to send in another shipment as quickly as I want to, but basically at least every 10 to 14 days, I try to send in a shipment. That's important. So yeah, I see you guys are pretty quiet today. I don't see too many comments, which is fine. But I appreciate everybody that's watching now. And if you're watching in the future, I may or may not make a video over the next few days. Oh, is that Helen? Masterson asked me, are you going sourcing on your trip? I hadn't planned on it, but I will, just in case, bring my scanner and of course have my phone, and I'll have my backup battery. It's more than likely that I will not, but I have sourced up in Northern California before, and I didn't do that well. That was like a few years ago. So I'm not entirely familiar with the area in terms of sourcing, because when I lived up there before, I was not doing this. But I probably will not. But you never know. You never know. It's probably more likely that I'll be doing other things with the family and friends, and so there won't be much time. It'll be kind of because we're going up Wednesday and then we're coming back Sunday, so it's basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the 3 days that we're not traveling, and those 3 days probably not going to have much time to do that. But you never know. Like I said, you never know. I could find an hour here or whatever, and visit a local thrift store and see how it goes. we're driving up, so if I find anything, I can just bring it back in the car. But we're driving up, and hopefully, what do you call it? Hopefully, I can make a video or two. We're going to be up there in Oakland, Berkeley area, and Richmond, and we might visit San Francisco. Might go to the zoo or something like that, but we'll see. But if you guys have nothing else to ask or chat about, I think I'm going to end the video. I have to eat something. It's a little bit late. Thank you very much. I will have fun, and I might pop up a video over the next couple of days to share some of the experience with you guys. But thanks for tuning in, and as always, guys, remember, keep booking.